Hey guys, I'm back. Today is chapter 28, and it's called In Which Gemma Makes Me Cry. And this is a letter chapter from Gemma to Nell, and the date on it is October 13th, 1860. The last letter that Nell sent to Gemma was actually October 3rd, 1860, and that's the one that had the cipher puzzle that looked like this. I know that Anthony figured it out because he emailed me what it said, and it actually talks about it right now. So hopefully you were able to figure it out. I don't think that there was any relationship between the letters that it replaced. Like, I couldn't figure out a pattern. However, I could figure it out based on the missing spaces, what it said. And I can tell you, did I already tell you on my last video? Now I can't remember, but it did say this. The pickled onion even gets to dress in disguises. So here is Gemma's letter, okay? Chapter 28. October 13th, 1860. Dear Nell, I wish I could tell you more about the pickled onion and what she is doing and why she gets to wear costumes, if that's what your last cipher said. I like you sharing what you can, but most of all, I love hearing about that food. The pecan pie makes my mouth water. Have you ever heard of a dessert called iced cream? I was down at the store buying some flour from Mama last week when I listened in on some old men talking about it. They say it marries right with pie. They spelt marries like to get married, so they're saying ice cream marries with pie. I think that sounds good because I bet most of us like to have ice cream with our pie. I don't want anyone around here to know, but I'm going to try to make Merks Desi as a surprise for Mama soon. Okay, I'm going to have to type this in the comments. Quotation mark. M-A-E-R-C space D-E-C-I space A-L-L-I-N-A-V. I'll put it in the comments. It's a cipher. It's a puzzle. As a surprise for Mama soon. That might sound like one of your fancy Italian foods, but you'll have to turn it around in your head to figure it out. Maybe someday I'll make some for you too. I wonder when that will happen. For now, my memories of our last day together and that big weeping willow are still clear in my mind. Do you know why we had to leave? I think I should tell you some more. Because it has to do with the maple tree. You and I were so young and eager to get away from the old folks, we didn't hear all the things that happened on the farms. But I think you might recall my uncle Ezekiel and his family. There were 8 of them, and they kept to themselves on the other side of the river from us. We saw them at Christmas and Easter, and that was about all. They had 2 sets of twin boys, so things were always noisy and messy whenever they were around. But my uncle Ezekiel was friendly, and he's the one who gave me those baby ducks. You know how much I loved my ducks, so you can imagine how much I loved Uncle Ezekiel. About a month before we left, I woke up one morning to the sound of the maple tree crying. It wasn't a quiet kind of crying either. He was howling at heaven and shaking all over. He'd just found out about Uncle Ezekiel's family, and the hurt in him opened up like a river. Simile. Tears poured out of him when he told me Uncle Ezekiel and Aunt Liza and all their 6 babies had been stolen by some slave hunters. Mama says your daddy told her it was all right, that we'd be fine since we'd been farming the same fields in Chemung County since the maple tree was a baby. Your daddy said over and over not to worry, that he knew ways to keep us safe. But the maple tree said it didn't make any difference. Some folks don't see a black man as a man at all. He said some folks just see him as property. Remember, Gemma and her family are black, and during this time, slavery was a thing. But remember, slavery was a thing in the South, below kind of the imaginary line across the United States. And they viewed the slaves as property, as something just to own and to force to do labor. Okay, do you guys recall this? We have talked about this before. I guess maybe for those slave hunters, they saw a lot of property in Chemung County that needed to be taken back down south, property being slaves. It wasn't too much later and we were gone just like Ezekiel. Only Mama and me and the babies went north instead of south. Your daddy probably told you all about it. what with his brother and all. When my mind gets to wandering off, like when I'm at church, don't tell Mama. I think about Uncle Ezekiel and his babies and where they all are now. I catch every word those old gossips say at the chicken dinners after services. I know that Uncle Ezekiel and his babies aren't together anymore, that slaves get sold off to the highest bidder, that nobody thinks twice about tearing twins apart from each other. Sometimes my ears burn when I hear such things, and I feel like running out the church door and across our fields, running all the way to where the maple tree is so I can help. I even dream I'm running, some nights, my legs so fast that I begin to fly. And I am one of those blue herons with mighty wings spread out wide and far. I know Mama says not to pay attention to all that talk, but I think the most important thing we can do is pay attention, especially when what we hear hurts so much. How else will we know the work to be done? I need to ask something of you now. I need you to tell the maple tree something if you find him. It's too important to turn into a cipher, so I'll put it to you straight. Tell him I'm coming. I don't know when or how, but someday soon. I'm coming. Your friend forever and ever, Gemma. Seems to me like Gemma's going to leave Canada and go looking for the maple tree and to help the maple tree. Hopefully we remember the maple tree is Gemma's dad, okay? And remember that, what does he do? Do you remember? He works on the, did you say it? Underground Railroad. And do you remember what the Underground Railroad is? That was the system that they used to help take the slaves from the southern states where they were forced to be slaves up north into the northern United States where they could become free. And a lot of them, remember, they helped get up into Canada where Gemma is living right now. Okay, so keep that in mind. So it looks like Gemma wants to come and find the maple tree. That just makes me nervous because Gemma's young. If you recall, this chapter was called In Which Gemma Makes Me Cry. So hopefully you can think about the reasons that Gemma made Nell cry when she was reading this. Probably having to do with hearing about her uncle's family who was taken, and how they even took twins and separated them and just sold them off to slave families as properties. So a lot of emotion in the chapter today, as opposed to some of these other chapters that were kind of the mystery that she was solving. So a little bit more today. I hope that you still enjoyed it. Tomorrow is chapter 29, and I look forward to reading it because I want to keep reading.